There was a lot of cultures that were developed many years ago in America. They constitute a population between 50 and 100 million people, of which about 10 million live in the north part of the American continent. These groups of people varied enormously, ranking from poor nomadic food gatherers to opulent fishing societies, and from the woodland hunting tribes to the wealthy and powerful peoples. There were three of the most important indigenous groups in North America. The first one were the Tlingits, who are original people of the Pacific Northwest coast, and they live in southern Alaska. One of the most important characteristics is that the clans of this tribe and the family groups were given their status based on the wealth, character, and ancestors of their members. The second one were the Nootka Indians, also known as Nuu-sha-Nui, who live along the seaward coast of Vancouver Island, Canada, and the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State. One of the most important characteristics is that on their homes they have totem poles carved with animal faces and bodies. The third one were the Yurok Indians, who are original people of Northern California, and most of them are still alive there today, and live on a reservation in California which belongs to the Yurok tribe and is under their control. These groups were very fortunate to live in a land full of riches and abundance of fish and edible plants. These people start to do some technological advances as make nets and weirs to harvest their crops and develop techniques to preserve their salmon in season of scarcity. For these reasons, the indigenous people went from nomadic communities to become sedentary groups. The indigenous inhabitants of North America speak different languages as the Siouan, the Algonquian, and the Iroquoisan. This aspect made them differ greatly from one another. They built stable villages, some of them with 5,000 inhabitants living in birch-covered wigwams or in a rectangular longhouses. Their means of commerce and communication with other tribes was their light birchbark canoes.
The history of colonial America led directly or indirectly to many of the early Indian wars. Europeans, political rivals, and military conflicts spilled over the Atlantic into colonial America. English laws were introduced to colonial America, and the profits made from trade in the natural resources of America contributed to the wealth of England, France, Spain, and Netherlands. Tension rose between Native American Indians due to the massive influx of English, Irish, German, and Scottish colonies. The early Indian wars were fought by the newcomer America, sparking new conflict with local Indian tribes and colonies of control of the land. Colonial American time period definition: American history 1607 and 1776. The colonial American time period of American history covered the start of European settlement with the Pilgrims from England, landing at Plymouth in 1607 and the establishment of the 13th colony until they declared themselves independent on July 4th. In 1776, with Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was a statement of the Second Continental Congress that defined the colonies' right, outlined their complaint against the British government, and declared the colonies' independence, which ended the colonial American time period and this period of early American history. Colonial American English or British. colonial America there is some confusion as together the early settlers in colonial America should be referred to as English or British. To clarify, the colonists and settlers in colonial America are referred as English up to 1707, at which time the union between England and Scotland created Great Britain, when the term British was used during this era of in colonial America. Colonial America time period. The colonial America time period covers the times in American history from 1607 to 1776. During this period of time, the settlers arrived for Europe looking for religious freedom, land, and the opportunity for wealth. The newcomers were governed by the law of the sovereign states of Europe, with inequality led to dissension of rebellion in colonial America. Colonial America, the Pilgrim Fathers. The Pilgrim Father is a term commonly applied to earliest immigrant and settlers of colonial America. The Pilgrim Fathers or Pilgrims were members of Britain's separatist select who set sail in the Mayflower bound for the America to establish a colony where they could enjoy religious freedom. The Pilgrims founded the colony of Plymouth in New Ireland in 1620, located in present-day Plymouth, Massachusetts, and United States. The Mayflower Compact was a legal document written by the Pilgrims to specific basic laws and social rules for their new colony in colonial America. Colonial America, early colonial America. The early colonial America time period starts with the arrival of the Pilgrims on the Mayflower and extends to 1629, which started the Great Migration, which was the most migration of thousands of English people to the American that took place between 1630 and 1640. The early colonial America time period covered the founding and establishment of the first English colonies established in colonial America, their struggle to survive in their conflict with American native Indians to colonial America.
American independence began in 1763 with the Treaty of Paris in 1763. The war in Europe, of course, between Britain and France had ended, with France giving up all its possessions in indifference to Britain, retaining only two islands. Those islands were Pierre and Miquelon Island. On 1764, the Sugar Act, the British put taxes on sugar and molasses. To the colonies, as we know, the colonies were the British people who lived in North America. In 1767 appeared the Townshend Act. They put taxes placed on glass, seed, paper, paint, lead, and of course in tea. But in 1770, all the taxes were dropped except tea. On 1773, the colonists were only allowed to purchase tea from Britain, or the colonists of Britain. In protest, colonists refused admittance for ships from the East India Company for selling tea. 50 Bostonian people disquieted and Mohawks threw 3 bottles of tea from British ships into the harbor to protest the Tea Act. This act damaged the British economy. Okay, now, where started the revolution? Okay, this revolution started in 1775. This was the first shot of revolution was fired at Lexington. First of all, the British tried to meditate the Americans to leave, and they wouldn't fire at them. But a shot from an American caused the British line to start fighting. The British major battle was fought near Bunker Hill in Boston, with colonial leader George Washington. The Americans put a sensible force to fight. Who was George Washington? This man was a colonial leader, also a commander of the Continental Army. After that was the first President of the United States, as we know. Now, on 1776, the colonial decided to draft a statement declaring independence from Britain. This was heavily influenced by John Locke's theory. Through this declaration, didn't end the Revolution War. In fact, the war continued for another 7 years. And now, France decided to join this war in favor of the Americans. This swung the American force in balance with the British. To finish, in 1781, Britain lost their whole army in the Battle of Yorktown. Now, I would like to tell you a story about the flag to the United States. In June 1776, a man named George Washington was a visit at dressmaker. The new flag was have 13 stars and 13 strips, one for each colony. As we know, on America exists 13 colonies. The colors of the flags should be red, white, and blue. The seamstress Betsy Ross made the first flag. Okay, Elizabeth Ross was a real woman. I would like to tell you, Elizabeth and Betsy is the same woman. To continue, she had a real life. She had 3 husbands, but they died. 2 of them during the Revolutionary War. One died serving in the army. The second died on a British prison. And the third husband of this woman died after a long illness. Betsy Ross had 7 children. A widow with a family to support in that time, seamstress Betsy Ross was made. She sewed for many people in the city, including George Washington, made flags for ships and troops. She was well known for his skill as a dressmaker.